All right, the Reds, it is Talking Reds Fridays, Talking Reds with me, Gareth Robertson. I've got Ian Ryan joining me. Ian, how are you feeling after that one? A big result for Liverpool. We finally scored goals in the Premier League again. We finally won in the Premier League again, and all of a sudden, the table's looking a bit nicer now, isn't it?
Hey, I'm absolutely delighted with that last night. I mean, we were saying we off air, it's been a bit grim the last month. Yeah. It's been hard to take. No goals in the Premier League, as you said, for 8 hours or so. And then last night, it all just come together, and they all seem to remember what's got them to where they've been the last 2 or 3 years. I thought they were fantastic, Robbo, to be honest. I think, given the side he's had to put out as well, there's still no centre-half options of any note. Obviously, yeah. Matip does the 45 minutes. And I just finished tweeting about Matip, how good he is when he's fit, and then all of a sudden he's not coming out for the second half, and you're thinking, Christ, lad, honestly, he makes Dan Agger look like the Terminator, doesn't he? Do you know what I mean? It's like he just can't play. He can't even finish a game at the minute, let alone play consecutive games. And that was disappointing. You thought, well, maybe we could be in a little bit of trouble here, but we get the second, they get one back. But I thought we managed the game from then on in really well. And as I say, it was an excellent performance, and I think it's got everyone back up for it again, because there's no doubt everyone was feeling a little bit low and a little bit deflated, understandably so. That Palace game, that 7-0. I mean, how long ago does that feel now? It feels like it's absolutely like an eternity ago. And that was the last time when you saw the Reds absolutely flying. So last night, mate, it was great to be back to what we know these lads can do.
I think managing it is a very good point in that, obviously we come out the traps. We could have scored within 2 minutes. Obviously we get, call it luck, call it what you want. We get the decision with Son's goal. His heel given offside by John Moss. The unlikely hero there. But, first half, we've got nearly 60% of the ball. We dominate the game and we get the goal we deserved in injury time of the first half. Second half, it reverses on its head. So they've got nearly 60% of the ball, which is us, as you say, managing it, because they have one shot in the second half and it goes in, and it's a bit of a worldie, and that lad will defo never hit one like that again.
Absolutely
not even sure he meant that slice, to be
fair. I mean, if that's Gerrard and he sliced it like that, you're saying, well, he's cut across it on purpose. Yeah. Because of who it was, you're thinking, nah, I'm not having it. Absolutely not having it. He could do that 100 times, and he's probably finding the net once. You know what I mean?
But it was a night, wasn't it, where you saw people, some of the real sort of soldiers for Liverpool dig in, if you like. So Milner, I thought was fantastic. Firmino, who's always referred to as the machine and the fella who makes us tick and all that, thought he was fantastic. Trent, back to what we know and love as well. Henderson, for a lad who's only played a handful of games as a centre half, looked fantastic down there. He was leading, he was shouting, he was organising, plays the ball over the top for Mane as well. You surely can't fault the lad now, particularly in the case of Henderson, because I just think, once upon a time, not long ago, it felt like me and you were coming on shows and having to defend him because of shit we were seeing from other Liverpool fans. Surely now, after all we've been through, all we've won, all the positions he's played in for Liverpool now, and the job he does in all of them, surely now there aren't many people who don't appreciate what he's done for Liverpool.
I think you're right to say that. I think it took time for some to maybe fully appreciate what he offered this Liverpool team. I think for me, like you, I've been one of his biggest fans, I have to say. And I know some people, don't always like that, and they maybe didn't see what he offered the team. But I think there's lots of things he offers the team, Rob. First of all, he's a great footballer. He's a really good footballer, and he's a better footballer than lots of people give him credit for. Yeah. And I think I see other fans sometimes almost poke fun at Henderson as if he's not a really good footballer. You don't lead this Liverpool team if you're not a great footballer. End of story. But what you also is he's very, very tactically switched on. I think that's why the manager thinks he can go and play centre half. Now, he doesn't want to be there, obviously, because he's a midfielder, and that's where he kind of does his best stuff. But at the same time, I think he's an intelligent player to the point where he understands the game, he reads it really, really well. And last night, I mean, when you think about it, Nat Phillips next to Jordan Henderson away at Spurs. Bananas. I mean, it's bananas. It's absolutely off its head. And yeah, again, back to that managing the game piece, I thought we were really good. Maybe the line drops a little bit because, Phillips is not that pacey. But it's just sensible stuff. And I think, Henderson's got the ability to do lots of different things. But his range of passing's really good. And he can spray it from the back if he needs to. But I think it's long been said, he's a tempo setter. He gets Liverpool on the front foot time and time again. And it's just a real shame at the minute that we can't put some of our best players in the rightful positions, because we get a little kind of glimpse, don't we, of a Thiago, Henderson, Fabinho midfield. And that's not to do Gini Wijnaldum at this service, by the way. But that three felt like it had a little bit of everything. And you could chop and change that. You could bring Gini in now and again. And you could just imagine it pairing more often than not. Yeah. And it's such a blow that we don't get that, because I honestly think, we all know, you go back to Gerrard's games or when Souness was playing, a lot of football matches are won and lost in midfield. And that midfield just looks like it's got everything you'd want in a midfield. So to not to be able to see that to blow, and it looks like Henderson's going to have to go again at centre-half at the weekend. Just on a couple of little... Sorry, mate, I was going to say, just on a couple of the other bits you mentioned, I thought Firmino was back at it last night. And I think you almost get a sense where within a couple of minutes, whether Firmino's on it, because there's been a games recently where it's bounced off his chin or something, or he's having to, his second touch is a tackle, all that, but it was sticking last night. He was right at it. He was right on it, facilitating the other two. And then you mentioned Trent. I give him a little bit of stick after one of the games recently. I thought there was a little bit of him maybe trying too hard in the final third, but in his own kind of third, maybe not quite at it, letting players go past him a little bit. There was none of that last night, mate. No. He was absolutely back on it, and I thought he was outstanding, to be honest. He was
superb. And I'm talking about centre-halves again, obviously. That was the 16th different centre-back partnership last night in only 20 league games, which is absolutely bananas. I did love Nat Phillips coming on and thinking he was playing for St Aloysius on Jubilee Park, and I can just throwing a massive one in there and getting booked straight away.
He stuck the reducer in, didn't he, straight away? It's like, mate, hang on, you've been about 2 minutes.
Yeah, it was like, lad, have you been watching Tommy Smith videos? What's going on?
But you know what, again, you're thinking, that set my heart racing a little bit, because I'm thinking, lad, there's about 40 odd minutes left here, and you put yourself on a booking. And that's probably a little bit of adrenaline, that he's come into a game and just thought, I'm going to wallop someone here first five and just see what happens. He didn't let us down, did he? You know what I mean?
Henderson got a shout in the press conference. One of the questions to Klopp just now was that if Henderson plays, which he inevitably will, on
better lad.
He will. That will make him fourth in the list for Premier League appearances for Liverpool, only behind Jamie Carragher, Steven Gerrard, and Sami Hyypiä. And it'll be 286 games he will have played in the Premier League for Liverpool. And the manager himself seemed made up with that. And he was asking who he was behind and all that. And he's like, oh, well, he might catch up to Sammy, and he's not going to catch up to Stevie. And you know what I mean? And he's having a bit of a laugh with it. But again, you can see what we just talked about there, that the manager really rates him. The manager loves him. The manager knows what he's going to get out of him. And more often than not, Liverpool are a better side when he's on the pitch. But unfortunately, it does, as you say, look as though he's going to have to go again. Also in the press conference was that Matip is definitely out. No surprise there, because it was reported last night that it's likely ligament damage. Klopp said they'll find out in the next 4 to 5 hours how serious it is, but it doesn't sound like he's got any chance for the weekend. Fabinho, the same. He's not going to line up against West Ham either. On West Ham, mate, they've been playing well. They've won the last 6. You look at some of the opposition they've been beaten in that 6, and I think there's a Doncaster and a Stockport in there, so it's inflated a little bit by that. But nevertheless, they've been doing well. They've got Antonio there, who loves scoring against Liverpool. I think it's 4 goals in 6 appearances since we've had Klopp about. But we were talking about this before on the weekend, the show, which is out there for free if people want to listen to that one. And I was saying on that, we can look at it this way and be like, shit, Antonio licking his lips, can't wait to play against this mad defence. But Mo Salah always scores against West Ham on the flip side. So, I was saying, on kneesupmotherbrown.com or whatever, they'll be saying, well, friggin' Salah always scores against us. So, I think what the big thing last night, and Moyes was there, wasn't he, watching?
Yeah, he
got a reference. I think he'll be thinking, shit. Do you know what I mean? Because, the other day he was surely thinking there's a big opportunity here. There's a chance to get at Liverpool. They're all over the show. The confidence is broken and all the rest of it. Last night, we saw the best version again of some of our players. And I was made up Sadio got one, because I feel like for weeks he's been like a touch away from being back. Do you know what I mean? It's always been one extra touch or taking things with his wrong foot or, just his decision making. And when he boomed that one in the net, I was like, here we go. Here's Sadio now. Do you know what I mean? And I like to think we'll be bringing the real Sadio to the occasion on Sunday.
Well, I mean, Klopp mentioned, didn't he, that the right players scored last night. And when he said that, I think, Bobby gets there's a lot of discussion around Firmino for not scoring enough goals, obviously slots. And it was nice to see him slot where he slotted as well. He's in the 6-yard box. And I know he does lots of different things for Liverpool in terms of outside the box, facilitate, like I said before. But now and again, you just want to see number 9 in the box, knocking goals in from 2 yards out. So there's that. And then the Sadio Mane, who I thought he was getting into all the right spaces, Robbo, last night, but he was still toiling a little bit. It just wasn't coming off. There was wrong decisions in there. Picking the wrong pass, maybe taking shots when he shouldn't, that kind of thing. But obviously, he gets that goal, and you just think, even the best players, even the very best players, need confidence. And that gives him that last night. I think it just gives him a platform to build from. And I think, Sadio, for me, he's been one of the shining lights of Klopp's reign. Let's have it right. He's been phenomenal, Mane. So if anyone's entitled to a little dip now and again, Sadio Mane is probably that guy. And I thought he was, the goal helps him. He's involved in plenty of other stuff as well. So I think there's that. I think you're right to say about, Salah's record against West Ham. He'll fancy it again, I'm sure. But also, watching West Ham, I mean, they have been quite impressive at times. I still think, there's times when, there's definitely still weaknesses there. I think you see that even against United where, they probably should have got something out of that game at home. And there's the freak goal that United score when the ball goes out of play. But there's still that maybe mentality thing where I think, on the day you just see them crumble a little bit when United came back at them. And I think, there's good times and bad times to play teams. And, before Spurs last night, Moyes is probably thinking, you know what, let's have some of this because Liverpool are in a really poor run of form. But after last night, if you are West Ham, you are thinking, fucking hell, we could do without this now because it looks like they've hit the groove again. And I think, we have got to be careful with what's going on in the back four. And I'd like to get your take on it as well, mate, what you think he'll do. I mean, I'm assuming he's probably going to go Phillips and Henderson.
Not much else to do, is there?
Because, there's the kid Williams, but I just think...
I think he looks a bit short. I'd keep him out the firing line.
I agree. I think what you've got Williams, who is better on the ball than Phillips, but just doesn't look like he's got the raw ingredients in terms of he's fully developed and he hasn't got much pace either. We talk about Phillips' pace, but Williams isn't blessed with it either. So I think he will go with Phillips. And West Ham have got a lad up there, as you mentioned before, Antonio, Souček, both good in the air. If there's one thing Phillips has got, it's aerial ability. I think he's got weaknesses to it. This night doesn't come on, did well last night, but I think if you're asking me to be really, really honest about it, I don't think him or Williams are Premier League footballers, in my opinion. And the manager said in his press conference, he said they'll both have good careers. I might be reading too much into this. He didn't say Liverpool. Do you know what I mean?
He
said they'll have good careers. And I thought, well, I know where you're coming from there. And I think they probably will go and have good careers. And by the way, that's absolutely sound. Not everyone's going to make it at Liverpool. And at the minute, they're doing their absolute best. And that's all you can ask for. But my God, if we could do something in the transfer window in the next few days, it wouldn't have though, Robbo, as we all know.
Absolutely. I mean, the other thing about West Ham, I was looking at a few stats about them there, because it was something I was wondering about this. They won a couple of games, but they had some big wins near the start of the season. So 4-0 against Wolves, 3-0 against Leicester. Then they've won 8 league games by a 1-goal margin, which sort of says to me that, they're similar with the run that they've been on. So you look at the run, you go, oh shit, they're in form there. But then you start to pick at the run and think, well, they played some sides you'd absolutely expect them to beat, including Everton. So, the 1-goal thing suggests to me that, you get a chance. You're gonna, it's going to be up to us as much as it is up to them. And that's been Liverpool's problem a little bit lately. They've almost beaten themselves. They've had chances. Like, I don't know if you saw it, I referenced it on the post-match pint as well, that there was an interview with Thiago on BT Sport before the game. I thought it was really good. He was really impressive. And he was talking about, they were saying about the form and about the run Liverpool are on, not scoring goals, not winning games. And he was saying, yeah, but if you look at it, there's almost a case to make in most of the games that we've done enough to win it. Do you know what I mean? We've created the chances. We've had the majority of the possession, all of those things, and we just haven't been putting it in the back of the net. And I like, even if that isn't true, I like the fact that that's his line and he's selling that in the dressing room, etc. And I kind of think, you know, they've broken through something here now. It doesn't feel like, I mean, it could all fucking blow up in my face on Sunday, like, quite easily. But I genuinely think, do you know what I mean, this time, you know, based on what we've seen, loads of players there, it seemed massive for them. It seemed massive for the manager as well. You know, he's looked downbeat. He's looked like it's getting into him. And have you seen the way he celebrated Firmino's goal and the way he was in the final whistle? It was proper, like, you know what I mean? It was like, he was fucking made up, and it meant a lot to him. And I think, you know, Rob said on something before, it was a bit like a cup final. And I know what he means by that. It felt massive getting that result last night, and feels like we can take it into Sunday.
Oh, absolutely. It did feel like a turning point. And obviously you can look a little bit silly saying these things, because you could go and get turned over and then you feel like it's back to square one again. But it didn't feel like that. It did feel slightly different to it. You know, it wasn't just a good result. It was a good result with a great performance in the mix as well, because I thought they were great from pretty much minute one. And, you know, you can talk about luck at times, and I don't think Liverpool have had much of it. And I know if other fans were listening to this, they'd be, you know, fucking having kittens about it. But it does feel like a thing, Robbo. You know, I think that overturned VAR goal for Spurs last night was the first time we've had something like that go our way. And it feels like we've had a lot of stuff go against us. And sometimes you can just feel like that because you're in a bit of a bad spell. But it has felt like that, you know, coupled with the injuries to big players, which I said on the show the other day, doesn't matter who you are, go through all the best teams that have played, you know, across, you know, the Premier League and before that, international sides, great European teams. You start taking out centre-halves out of anyone's team, and it's going to cause a huge fucking problem. So we've had to try and manage that, and it's not been easy for the manager, because he took that, I wouldn't say gamble, but he took a little bit of a risk, I suppose, or the club did. Not necessarily saying it was Klopp's decision to obviously go with the 3 recognised centre-halves at the beginning. No one could foresee what happened, what was going to happen to Gomez and Van Dijk, but it has happened. And maybe we should have had another one in there, but, you know, you make your decisions and you cut your cloth accordingly. And it's how Liverpool react from here on in. And I think, you know, the manager's, for me, he strikes me as someone who's good at galvanising and almost having that siege mentality. And I think we've got players like Thiago who can feed into that as well. Henderson, Milner. I thought Milner was great again last night. And he gets written off time and time again. And I've probably go back to listen to some of the stuff that I've said about Milner. Whilst I've always been a fan, there's probably been times where I've said, maybe it's time to put him out to pasture a little bit. But he just keeps coming back and putting in great displays. And don't get me wrong, there's probably certain games where you'll look across the season and go, I want Milner for that. I want Milner for that. No, you don't want to play him all the time because he's 35 years of age or whatever he is. But there's games where you think, I know he'll add something in that game, or I know he'll affect it if he comes off the bench, because, again, it's mindset, it's mentality, and by the way, he's a good footballer. So
Naus as well, wasn't it? Last night?
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
a lot of that win was Naus. Like, we scored nice goals, we won the game, but like I said before, you know, sort of knowing when it's fine to drop in now. You know, like we've almost done that thing where it feels like we've been trying to score 7, and it's like, lads, just score 1 and win. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like fight for it a bit more, drop in, just keep them away now, take the results. You know, there I know it ended up being 3-1, but I do think there was a bit of that going on. You know, particularly when you look at those possession stats on last night, the way it switched from one half to the other, and also as well, you know, reacting to the Matip thing. I mean, we all went, didn't we? Like, you see it before the game, you're like, oh my God, you're joking when you see Fabinho's out. And then you're like, oh my God, anything else when Matip doesn't come out for the second half.
Lad,
and it's like,
I mean, oh, mate. I mean, I reckon everyone's WhatsApps were going off the scale, weren't they? When you saw them come out second half, and you're like, where the fucking hell's Joe Matip there? Honestly, I can't believe this. And
I found the belter gif. I was looking for like a gif to demonstrate my feelings to my mates, and I found one of Snoopy on the top of his kennel, just fucking looking at the sky with loads of rain coming down. And I was like, that's me right now. It's like, anything else?
Honestly, it's like a scene on a platoon, and it just looking over the rain's beating down on you. But I mean, and there's been lots of that. And when I talk about, you know, bad luck and adversity, Liverpool have had more than the first share. And I think going into Sunday, you know, they'll be full of confidence. Maybe a little bit of a swagger's coming back again. I think the other interesting thing is, and I've seen I've seen Moyes do it already this season, but there's definitely a thing with Liverpool. We know that. It's in his head a little bit.
Yeah.
We've got history with him. And he would normally shit the bed a little bit when he come up against Liverpool. And even this season, Robert, they were in good form earlier on the season. And I'm sure it was someone like, they had Brighton at home. And all of a sudden, he went dead defensive. And he played one fella up front. And he had about 8 men in midfield. And it was just like, it was just like, loads of defenders, packed in midfield. And it was like, lad, you're on a really good run. You should be taking the game to Brighton, who were in a terrible run. And I think they find themselves going a goal behind. They end up pulling it back and maybe getting a 2-2, something like that. But it just gave you the glimpse again about his mentality where it's maybe careful before confident, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think, it'll be interesting to see how whether he takes the game to Liverpool or not. I hope he does a little bit because I think, we'll thrive if there's gaps in behind and we can exploit those gaps. We've got the players to do that. We know that. So I think that's an interesting little side story to this. What's Moyes' mentality? Is he going to think, you know what, we're in a good position here as West Ham at the minute, and they are, we'll have a go at them, or will he take it, really, really kind of cautious in terms of his approach? I wouldn't be surprised if it is the latter, to be honest.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see where that goes, because we've done well at their new ground. We're still unbeaten there, and I think we're unbeaten in our last 9 against West Ham. An interesting one on this as well, sort of like, the psychology side of it almost, I think, is what you've just said about Moyes. There's a stat I spotted which I like, and I hope someone tells Moyes, because West Ham have only had 7 wins in a row twice in the history of the club, which is mad, isn't it?
It's mad.
And so this would, if they beat Liverpool, that would be 7 again. So if someone tells Moyes that, he'll be up nights. Do you know what I mean? Be like, oh shit. You know what I mean? Someone needs to
pencils up his nose and his undies on his head. You know what I mean?
Someone needs to get, if someone's watching and they live next door to Moyes, can you just give him a knock and say, hey, if you just win there on Sunday, it's like it's the equaling the best record of the club there for consecutive victories.
He doesn't want to wear that.
Fields 10 goalies on Sunday. So yeah, we'll see how that one pans out. In terms of us as well at the Anfield Wrap, just wanted to say, probably should have said it near at the start. You might have tuned out by now listening to us too. But
cheers, mate.
I meant more me than you. No, we've got a bit of an offer going on whereby you can watch our premium content, our stuff behind the paywall for nothing. What you've got to do is download the app and you'll get 1,000 tokens, which allows you to then spend those tokens on some of the premium content, and you can have a look at it. Post-match pint, for example, was good last night. Paul Jacko Johnson gave an inspiring speech, Kevin Keegan-esque in its manner. So if you want to go and have a look at that, use your tokens to get that. But yeah, in general as well, we are at a bit of a time where we're sort of looking at what we're doing, assessing what we're doing, looking whether we're doing it right or not. We've recently done a subscribers survey, so we're starting to get the results in for that. But we do know as well that some people just watch our video content or listen to our free video content and listen to our free podcast content. If you're one of them, equally would love to hear from you as well. Either comments below as usual, or send us an email, or tweet one of us, whatever it may be. Whatever you think we could and should be doing, or things we might be able to improve on, or whatever it may be, do let us know, because we are always interested in all the feedback. And as I say, download the app, get involved. You'll be able to have a go with the premium content as well. Okay, so whatever happens this weekend, we shall be there. We shall be doing it. There will be podcast video right on the website. And also, if Liverpool sign someone, and listen, we're all praying, the transfer window closes on Monday. I think it's 11 o'clock. We shall all be praying that a centre-half or two comes Anfield way in that time. And if it does happen, we shall react to it as we always do. We'll do a special, because we know you all love that. And we'll get someone on who's seen the player in question, whoever that may be, etc., etc. So look out for that. And that might be something you want to spend those free tokens on. But in the meantime, enjoy your weekends as best as you can. Look forward to seeing the Reds on Sunday, R4. Hope they bring their Spurs game to the game. And Ian, nice one, la. You're in time for your meeting there, mate, as well. Up the Reds.